Well, hey guys, welcome to the studio. We've been working on dialing in our kick drum sound here in the studio for some time, and I stumbled across something that didn't really make sense to me, but we tried it and it worked. And all you need is a wall, some absorption panel like what we hang up on the wall. We just used like a DIY rock wool filled 48-inch by 18-inch wall panel and a moving blanket. And wait till you hear this. This is what we started with. And as you can see, we went through about 8 different steps, and I recorded everyone along the way until I arrived finally at this one. That's a bit of a change. Let me describe to you what we did. To start off, we used a Shure PGA 52. This is sort of their budget kick drum microphone. It's not a Beta 52. And it's mounted in a Kelly shoe, kind of a horseshoe-shaped mounting system inside the kick drum. They show it centered here and kind of close to the front head. We used it down lower, off to the side, and backed off from the front head, and it stayed there through the entire test. We found that was the best place for it. And all the recordings were done with an Evans EMAD 2, which is like a variable bass drum head. It comes with like a stock ring on the outside of it, not a foam ring, it's like a hard ring, but into that you can install either a very narrow foam ring or a very wide foam ring. We ran it all 3 ways. There's absolutely no processing on what you're about to hear. No EQ, no compression, no fancy anything. This is what it recorded. A quick description of what you're going to be hearing, because I want to play these back to back and hopefully you can read my screen here. The EMAD head with no foam ring, the EMAD head with a small ring, and the EMAD head with a large ring. And the difference between those 3, you can tell what it's doing. Let me play those 3 for you now. No ring. Small ring. The big ring. Does it make a difference? Yeah, it does make a difference. It gets a little bit punchier and a little bit tighter the bigger the ring you add to it. That's why they make it. I like it. It was at this moment that I decided the tone of the kick was a little bit on the high side. So I decided to just loosen up the lugs a little bit more. They had been hand tight plus a half turn. I backed them all down a quarter turn. Let's hear that difference. Big ring. Tune down. Tuning it down helped it get a little bit deeper, which was nice. The next thing we tried was actually backing the entire drum kit out from a wall. And you can see over my finger here, we're in a basement. We have like these half walls that were kind of designed to hide the poles in here a little bit. And the drum kit is kind of up near one of those half walls, but on the other side of the studio. Okay, we're still tuned down, and we're going to hear the difference between being about a foot from that wall to about 2 feet from that wall. Listen to the difference here. Near the wall. Farther from the wall. We're getting close to it. The next thing that we did was we tried tuning the resonant head a little bit lower. And I was actually shocked to find that it seemed like it had just slowly had been tightening up over time. When's the last time I checked the tuning of my resonant head? And it gave it like this overtone that I was not a fan of, but we tuned it down and then we removed it completely. Here's all 3 of those. still backed off from the wall. Tuning down the resonant head. Removing the resonant head. I was getting much happier with this. And I remembered that a minute ago we'd already tuned the resonant head down, and I had backed it out from the wall, and I remember not really liking that tone when it backed out from the wall. So I went back and I listened to that again. Here's what I heard. Okay, this is near the wall, resonant head tuned down. And I'm about to back it off from the wall. Definitely different. So I definitely wanted to move it a little bit closer to the wall. And then something occurred to me. If I don't have a resonant head on there, what's really containing that bass inside that drum and giving it the tone of the drum? And I thought, well, I already have a moving blanket kind of up against the wall because I don't want that slap back echo off of a hard wall there. Let me try putting the kit right up against a 4-inch rock wool absorption panel like I showed you earlier in the video. This thing. All right, I'm going to play it for you where it is away from the wall and then up against the wall, right up against an absorption panel. Listen to the difference now. It's about 2 feet from the wall. That's up against the absorption panel. Let me recap. I'm going to play you what we started with, and I'm going to play you what we ended up with. Here's where we started. Start. What do I think? I think it's generally more usable. I know that there are styles of music where you want kind of a long, ringing, resonant boom. It kind of lingers around. But for fast kicks and for the kind of music that I produce here generally, I need something that's pretty tight. And if I want to remove that large foam ring from the EMAD system and put in the smaller ring or no ring at all, I can kind of add the length of the kick back in whenever I want. But the most important thing for me is, am I getting a nice thump, and am I doing it without like a weird resonant peak that I have to EQ out? Remember, none of this stuff has been processed at all yet. If I wanted a little bit more grit, I could put a condenser mic maybe over by the beater and get a little bit more of the snap to it. I might be able to do that just as easily with add-ons. I know that's like not what we're talking about here today, but a little bit of saturation or a little bit of EQ or a transient shaper, and I can really kind of take this foundational, fundamental kick in the ribs kind of thump and do really whatever I want with it. So I'm going to roll with it like this for now. And we got a lot of work to do. Let's get to it.